Welcome back, Comic Book Hero. So, this week we saw the release of Amazing Spider-Man 796. And the pre-sales on this book were ridiculous. Guys were buying this book at $20, maybe $30 a copy. Pre-sales. Sight unseen. They were buying this book. They didn't even have the book in hand to even look at the condition to see if it was something worthwhile because of the super hype over what? The Red Goblin. That's right. You heard me correctly. Not the Green Goblin. Not the Hobgoblin. The Red Goblin. Now, see, this is something DC used to take flack for. The Marvel stories were the more mature stories, the ones where you could connect to the character, and the characters were more relatable, and DC had all this surreal, Silver Age, childish stuff over here. You have grown men paying $20 to $30 a copy for Amazing Spider-Man 796 because it's the first appearance of what? The Red Goblin. Hey, I can only poke so much fun at the whole thing because, yeah, there's stuff that I will run after. And yeah, of course, I'd like to get a copy too, but I didn't pre-order this. I went to the store and it was still on the rack. So I looked at it, picked it up, and I read through it. I didn't see a Red Goblin there. I didn't see a Red Goblin anywhere. I turned to the last page. It's Norman Osborn. He's got some Green Goblin tech and he's got the Carnage symbiote. And he's like, what would happen if I say, look, this whole Reese's peanut butter cup, I found some chocolate in my peanut butter nonsense. Okay, it can only work for certain types of people. But here's the thing, though, that comic books have survived no less than 2 different implosions. The big one, 1970, the DC implosion, where DC had decided that they were going to put out books, and for some reason it just didn't take, even though Marvel was doing something similar and it worked for them. That's one. And that was a very hard hit because if DC gets hit, Marvel also feels it as well. Don't think that these two guys don't need each other. And the other one we had was in the 1990s, where everybody was buying 30 copies of a book thinking that because Image was out, that this was going to be the new Marvel. And all of these books were going to be able to put you through university. This was going to be your retirement plan, if you will. Unfortunately, we have to remember that when Marvel came out, the print run wasn't the same. Those books were a lot rarer, and they had DC to contend with, and DC was controlling the publishing. DC controlled the market, and so a lot of those books, people couldn't find them. That's why they're rare. Image comics weren't rare. There were millions of them, easily. The rare books, nobody even knew about those. Okay, so if you were lucky to get your hands on those, hey, great. You got 20, 30 bucks for yourself. Just a few million more, and you'll be able to retire. This right here smacks of the same stuff. For some reason right now, there is a nice, robust, healthy interest in comics, in collecting, and in buying them. That changes when guys have buyer's remorse because they feel like they've been suckered, because they feel like they have paid an exorbitant amount of money for something that did not happen. And something did not happen in this issue. What didn't happen? We didn't see the Red Goblin. Now, for me, just as a rule of thumb, this is Amazing Spider-Man 796. I would probably expect to see the Red Goblin closer to 800 than right here now. They've been leading up to it and teasing it. We'll probably see him, we might see him next issue or the penultimate issue, and then the big match will probably in, Amazing Spider-Man 800. That's how I would do it, so you can really sell it at this point. But the fact that guys are willing to sell it at such a high price, and I understand the market will drive it, but the fact that guys are also throwing money after it. When you sit down there with Amazing Spider-Man 796 and you look it over and there's no Red Goblin there, and you already had the previous issue that already hyped what was supposed to be coming in terms of the Red Goblin. How do you feel when you've shelled out this much money and then you already look and say, hey, what I shelled out for this is not necessarily what it's going for right now? This is how things implode, people. Okay, look, comics need to be collectible. But at the same time, we also need to have some earnestness about them as well. A fool and his money are soon parted. But if people feel like fools, they're not going to buy. And if they're not going to buy, we don't have an industry. So you got to keep these things in mind. Speculate as much as you like, but $20 today and no industry tomorrow, that's not something I'd ever want to see. I don't think the comic book industry could survive another implosion. I hope it doesn't happen. And I really hope guys are a bit smarter with their money and with how they want to sell these books. 1 million copies of worthless books, we've already seen that once. We don't need to see it again. Until next time, Calvin Ellis, I'll see you later.